I think it's going to be hard for it to be zero, only because of the expansion of the network effect and that the asset is being supported by very large institutions that have ETFs. And you know this as well as anybody, Wall Street is a selling machine. And so if Wall Street has a product known as a Bitcoin ETF, they are out there selling that product to a very large group of individuals and institutional investors. So it may go to zero. I would say that's a very low probability. Could it get to $1 million? You'd have to see Bitcoin be recognized as a digital piece of property akin to gold, and then it could.
Anthony Scaramucci is the founder of Skybridge Capital, an alternative asset manager and investment advisor, and former White House director.
Initially found the idea of a digital currency absurd. Like many early skeptics, he missed several opportunities to invest in Bitcoin until a pitch about central bank digital currencies during his brief 10-day tenure at the White House changed his perspective. Since then, Anthony has significantly expanded his involvement in the digital assets industry, although the journey has not been without its challenges. In September 2022, Anthony sold 30% of Skybridge Capital's shares to Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of cryptocurrency exchange FTX. This decision backfired when Bankman-Fried was convicted of fraud and conspiracy following the collapse of FTX and Alameda Research. As a result, Anthony spent much of 2023 dealing with the fallout. However, the 60-year-old financier and his firm are now moving on from the SBF and FTX debacle and, like the rest of the cryptocurrency industry, are looking forward to the anticipated bull market expected to gain momentum later this year and continue into 2025. According to the renowned entrepreneur, the combination of increased demand from Bitcoin ETFs and a reduced Bitcoin supply will create a significant imbalance, driving prices upward. Anthony's midterm target for Bitcoin is to surpass gold's $8 trillion market cap, a milestone he believes is closer than most anticipate. He predicts that before the current cycle ends, Bitcoin will reach at least a new all-time high of $180,000 per coin.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
I think I have to start with the misses. Okay, so 2012, I was introduced to Bitcoin. I was like, this is a bunch of malarkey. I put out a tweet that said, I don't understand Bitcoin and who cares, and caveat emptor. I think that's on the internet somewhere. And then 2014, the Winklevoss brothers, the twins, came to my conference. They explained Bitcoin to me, and they were very passionate about Bitcoin. And I was like, all right, you guys are very smart guys. This will probably work, but I'm an institutional investor. I can't get anywhere near it. That was 2014. And then something seminal did happen. In 2017, I was in the White House, and this happened on a Wednesday, James. The reason I know that, I was only there for one Wednesday, so I do know that it happened on a Wednesday. And two guys from the Federal Reserve came in to talk about the white paper that they had, written about the digitization of the US dollar. And I asked the question in the meeting. I said, is this like the blockchain? Oh, yes, this would be over the blockchain. And then I said, so like Bitcoin? And they said, yes, well, slightly different. We have our own blockchain, but it would be technically similar to Bitcoin. And then the light bulb went off in my head. I said, okay, I am really missing this. I can't be that stunad, which is like stupid in Italian slang. I gotta get up to speed on Bitcoin. And so I got fired a couple days later. I went and bought the URL skybridgebitcoin.com. And then I did what I always recommend to people: do your homework. I don't know anybody that's done homework on Bitcoin, James, that's gone down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin and comes up with, I'm not buying any Bitcoin. I haven't found anybody yet. I usually find that the Bitcoin critics are like I was back in 2012. They don't understand it, and it's very superficial. And so anyway, make a long story short, I built a list of things that I would need to have happen for me to invest in Bitcoin. Those things started happening. And in October,
like what was on that list?
So the three main things was, number one, we had to get to 100 million wallet. At the time of my first investment, it was at 80 million and going up. Number two, I had to get comfortable with the regulation. And this is back in 2020. You say, well, how did I get comfortable? Well, the IRS deemed Bitcoin intangible property. And the minute they did that, I knew that Bitcoin was going to be okay in the United States, because property rights in this country are sacrosanct. They date back to the Magna Carta. It's traced through British common law, our property rights. And this is still a capitalist society, and we protect people's property rights contractually. And when the IRS said it was intangible property, good luck to the likes of Gary Gensler and the Tsarina, Elizabeth Warren. They may not like me owning Bitcoin, but it's too bad. The IRS already deemed it property, and therefore the court system is going to protect my property. And then the third thing, which I think was very important, is if I'm going to buy 9 figures worth of Bitcoin, which I need to if it's going to have a meaningful impact on my clients, I have to have a place where I can store it. And there were really good service and storage options, including Fidelity Digital Assets, Coinbase Prime, or even New York Digital Investment Group. Those are 3 great places to store your Bitcoin. I do have some at Galaxy, by the way, as well. So for me, that was the decision. Well, I mean, here's the thing. We're in an instant gratification world, and everybody wants to be, boom, instantly gratified, and Bitcoin should shoot to 300,000 tonight, and everyone should get rich immediately, and so on and so forth. It doesn't work like that in the real world. So there are buyers and sellers, and there are speculators and skeptics alongside of long-term investors. And so what ends up happening in a situation like this, most people don't understand the asset. And there's a lot of people out there that are trading that asset as opposed to really understanding it. And so there's a huge volatility in an asset like Bitcoin because it's so early. And by the way, you can compare it to early assets like Amazon or Apple Computer back in the day. Until the businesses get matured and scale, they can oscillate and trade with a lot of volatility. And so the problem right now is Bitcoin is an 80 vol asset. So it went up. It started the year, I guess, at 40 something. It went to 73,000. I think it's trading at like 58 or 59,000 right now, somewhere in there, 57,000. And it's moving around a lot. Could it go back to 30,000? I think it's possible. I don't see it ever going to zero at this point. But what is happening while people are short-terming and trying to time Bitcoin is the network itself is growing, and it's growing exponentially. And so as that network grows, the network effect, Metcalfe's law, will make that asset, that piece of digital property, way more valuable over.
During the interview, Anthony Scaramucci discussed the significance of spot Bitcoin ETFs and their historic impact on Bitcoin. He noted, Wall Street is a selling machine, and it's currently selling Bitcoin. In a recent CNBC interview, Anthony emphasized the importance of spot Bitcoin ETFs, highlighting that we are finally witnessing the institutional adoption of Bitcoin. He remarked, I think the institutional adoption is happening now, citing the state of Wisconsin's announcement and anticipating other pension funds to follow suit. He added that Bitcoin's regulatory approval has been the rate-limiting step for many large-scale institutions. The Skybridge Capital founder referred to the first quarter 13F filings with the SEC, which revealed that 414 institutions hold BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. These filings are required for institutional investment managers overseeing over $100 million in assets. According to the documents, the U.S. State of Wisconsin Investment Board is the 6th largest institutional holder of the iShares Bitcoin Trust, with approximately $99 million invested. In his CNBC interview, Anthony predicted that spot Bitcoin ETFs will become part of a long-term tactical asset allocation strategy for institutional investors. He believes that this is why many savvy institutions are now getting on board.
I bought my first Bitcoin at 17,000 in 2020. It shot to 69,000. I was a genius. It then went from 69,000 to 17,000. I was a doofus. It's now gone from 17,000 to 73,000. Now at 57,000. I guess I'm, depending on the time frame, I'm either a dummy or a genius. And the truth of the matter is we're never as smart or as dumb as we look. But if I am right about this asset, it will trade to a market capitalization similar to gold. And and again, I could be wrong. Let me tell you something. As evidenced by my book, I've been humbled by life. I've been humbled by markets. So what I'm about to say may or may not be right. I honestly have to, hold myself humbly in that position. But I think it's going to be hard for it to be zero, only because of the expansion of the network effect and that the asset is being supported by very large institutions that have ETFs. And you know this as well as anybody, Wall Street is a selling machine. And so if Wall Street has a product known as a Bitcoin ETF, they are out there selling that product to a very large group of individuals and institutional investors. So It may go to zero. I would say that's a very low probability. Could it get to $1 million? You'd have to see Bitcoin be recognized as a digital piece of property akin to gold, and then it could. And I would point out that there's a very large professionalized gambling that's taking place in Europe on these soccer teams. There's no way that could happen without the crypto markets moving this stuff relatively costless among the participants. So those are minor things that are happening. One major thing would be if you developed a wallet where we could have a wallet-to-wallet connectivity with each other, and you and I could go into a department store or a restaurant, and we could cross money to the restaurateur or cross money to the department store without paying the American Express fee. And I think that we're 3 to 5 years away from that.
You think even that long?
Oh, well, I'm being conservative. I mean, it could happen more quickly. The U.S. regulator, again, for whatever reason, rightly or wrongly, does not like the asset class. And so it's taking longer for its full adoption as a result of that. And that's really Elizabeth Warren was given a lot of latitude over financial services from Joe Biden as part of an agreement with her when she left the 2020 campaign and endorsed.
In other crypto-based spot ETF news, the SEC's recent approval of the 19B4 filings for spot Ethereum exchange-traded funds has sparked speculation among cryptocurrency investors about what will come next. Many believe that over time, the SEC will approve a variety of other spot ETFs based on different cryptocurrencies and digital assets. Several cryptocurrencies, including Dogecoin, have been suggested by the community as the next candidates for a spot ETF. However, Anthony Scaramucci is convinced that the honor will go to Solana. In a tweet posted last week, the American financier wrote, "We are going to get a Solana ETF. Get ready." Please share your comments and observations on Anthony's interview and his predictions for a Solana ETF in the comments section below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.